Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. The Benefits team is thrilled to welcome Bethenny Frankel to Google Health and Wellness Week 2009. As an authority on achieving and maintaining healthy and balanced lifestyle, celebrity natural food chef Bethenny Frankel has a knack for making healthy food taste delicious. Bethenny attended the National Gourmet Institute for Health and Culinary Arts and then put her skills to use by forming her own company, Bethenny Bakes, which features a line of low-fat, wheat, egg, and dairy-free baked goods. Bethenny has gained recognition for her celebrity clients, including Denis Leary, Alicia Silverstone, Susan Sarandon, Maria Menounos, Daisy Fuentes, Mariska Hargitay, and others, to name a few. In addition to her best-selling cookbook, Naturally Thin, Bethenny is the author of a monthly column in Health magazine called Celebrity Diet Secrets. Bethenny's talents stem beyond the kitchen as well. She stars in Bravo's hit reality series, The Real Housewives of New York City, where she has been acclaimed for her candor, sharp wit, and humor. Immediately following the author's talk, Bethenny will do a book signing and make a guest chef appearance in Hemispheres from 1 until 2. If you're using your laptops, just please be mindful that you're not typing very loud, and please silence your cell phones, everyone. At the end of the talk, you'll be able to ask questions at the standing mics on the side. This is for YouTube, so just please make sure that you speak clearly so she can understand your questions. That said, please join me in welcoming Bethenny Frankel.
Hi. Okay, first of all, the only one who looks like she works here is my assistant, Molly, with like cargo pants and a sweatshirt. What the hell is up with all the like Alice and Olivia dresses and all the girls? You don't understand that I'm more scared to be here than like when I was talking to Ted Turner at NYU. Because I'm like, people are standing in the hall holding computers while they're standing up. They're not even at a desk. This is psychotic. I don't even know how to twatter or Twitter or whatever. This is fucked up. I thought, I'm not kidding. And first of all, you guys like have like M&Ms flowing. You guys are all hopped up on chocolate. You can't have SkinnyGirl margaritas in the middle of the day. I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So this is like a very big learning experience for me. And who are these 3 nerds somewhere else that are watching? Look at them. Can they, hi. He's like, oh my God. Hi. 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 Do they work for Pixar or they're just like obsessed with Pixar? I'm not even kidding. I am so excited. And does everybody Google each other at their desks, by the way? Does anybody find any other information about each other while you're at your desk, like Googling each other? Or is like it all canceled each other out and there's something else that you do? Like nerdy spies coming down the hall. All right, I am at Google and here we are. So anyway, who hates Kelly Ben-Simone? Just like to start, perfect. I just like to talk about really important things. I do happen to have written a book, but I know that no one gives a shit about that, even though it has been on the New York Times bestseller list for 18 weeks, but we can talk about that after. We can gossip about the show. I look like a bigger nerd than anyone here. Look at me and my, yeah, whatever. All right, next time I'm coming in a stripper's outfit because I didn't get it. I didn't understand. Hi. He looks like the perfect customer to be carrying my book. Have you unleashed your skinny girl? You do. You're in the process of unleashing your skinny girl? Right. All right, so, and what are you guys doing on the computers? Are you taking notes? Are we video? What's happening? Seriously, what is happening with the computers in here? What? You could work. Oh, that's why they feed you all day. You can't leave. You have to work while you're in these meetings. Honestly, I didn't know if it was like some sort of like a breakfast in bed thing. You're just leaning things on it. All right, okay. And Molly, most of them are Mac people, so you should be happy. All right, so who wants to gossip about the show first? Questions about the show? That's open for complete discussion. Anybody? I am coming back for the next season. I'll be back in September. I will not be the single girl anymore. I have a boyfriend, so finally. Namaste. Yes. Who is he? His name is Jason. Jason 2. We call him Jason the sequel. Yes. As Lori, my publicist, likes to say, the only Jason I haven't slept with is the one from Friday the 13th because he's a little scary. But the night is young. Yeah, I literally dated 4 Jasons since Jason. If anyone's name is Jason here, pull your pants down. And I'm just saying, because it could happen at Google. All right? So that's that. Any other inappropriate questions? Oh, hopefully no one has any problem with inappropriateness. That's usually the disclaimer in the beginning. And there are no small children here, so that I know is fine. So if anyone has any problem with inappropriateness, please, there's the Google door. Questions? About the show, we can talk about the book after.
Is Kelly as crazy as she seems on TV?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only ever spent time with her when you've seen it on the show. Yeah, I think there's something very, very wrong with her. I do think she's missing a part of her brain. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think there's something wrong with her. She's just not playing with full deck. So, and she tries to like I'm just like, don't do it. Don't. This mouth is like fire. Don't. Just let's not talk. Because if you speak to me and you try to be smart and you try to make people like you, it's not going to work. So she's a total. See you next Tuesday.
Who are you most in touch with from the show?
I'm the most in touch with Jill, I'd say. Jill and I have had a relationship the whole entire time. I'm not that, I think Kelly's going to be my best friend this season. I'm not that in touch with anybody. I mean, I've been working, I've been on the book tour, and the truth is, it's very toxic. It's extremely toxic and stressful because, you know, me laying in my bed sleeping isn't exactly interesting. So they want to see, like, if you took any 6 girls in any high school in any town anywhere, it would be catfighting. And I'm not really that kind of girly girl. I drink SkinnyGirl margaritas by myself at home. Not really out with like many girls. I'm not that girl. So it's been challenging. It's been difficult. And the first season having a boyfriend who wanted no part of it and then, you know, subsequently getting him fired was a little stressful. So, you know, maybe Jason too will keep his job. But the show's, you know, it's been the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I didn't want to do it in the beginning. I turned it down for 2 months, and they had already been shooting, and I kept sort of thinking about it, and it was like a gamble, because the show then was called Manhattan Moms. I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought, you know, everyone would be just drunk with like tassels on their titties, dancing, and my career would be ruined, because I had just started with like Health Magazine and Pepperidge Farm. So, and I had already written my book, but not gotten it published. So I was very nervous, and now, I mean, it was the best thing I ever did. It really was. It was like a complete launching pad. So we plan and God laughs. So that's that part of it.
How much of what we see is influenced by the producers and writers versus what you guys want to represent?
Well, it's funny. I always make a food analogy, but like people will say like I don't like greens or I don't like lettuce, and there's arugula, there's iceberg, there's a million different types. That's the same thing with reality shows. I can see when I'm watching The Hills that is completely, like they have people with earpieces telling them what to do. Our show's as real as it can be, with the exception of where we're shooting. Like if I wanted to shoot today, I'm going to be at Google. They probably wouldn't let. Well, you know, Big Brother around here. You definitely wouldn't. They definitely wouldn't let me. But so I'll be like, we're going on a date to Le Cirque, and they'll be like, we can't shoot there, so you have to go to, you know, Joaquim's Mexican restaurant or whatever. And so but what happens there? They also might be like, we want to see, you know, we want to hear about what happened with you and Jason last week, you know, with the domestic violence argument. I'm just kidding. So then we'll start talking about it. But whatever comes out of our mouths really does come out of our mouths. And I mean, I could see on Atlanta and those other shows, which are different production companies, they do a lot for the drama. They do. I mean, I really don't think that woman would have flipped that table on Jersey had it not been dramatic. But it all did really happen. No one said flip a table. So, but our show's really real. Oh, no, she said producers. Oh, you said writers?
For both, yeah.
Oh, no one's writing anything. No, could you write this stuff? No one's writing anything. No one's writing anything. Oh, no. They just, you know, you find crazy people. I mean, myself included. You find crazy people, and you put 6 crazy people together, and crazy things will happen. And people get, I act exactly like myself, and I always tell it like it is. I mean, would I love to have slapped the shit out of Kelly? I would have. It would have been fun just to be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself, you self-involved star fucking bitch. But I didn't say that because I'm somewhere in the back of my head. I know what's going on. I know I'm building a brand, and I know I have a New York Times bestseller that's going to come out. And so, you know, a little bit, I would love to rip someone's weave off. You know? I would. I mean, I really would. I haven't in my life, but I would like to do it. But I mean, there's some semblance of order that I feel like I need to maintain. But that's within life, too. I'd love to rip someone's weave off at a book signing when they're like a stalker crazy person, but I don't do that either. And the cameras aren't on. So that's security.
So 2 things that you mentioned, you know, finding the 6 crazy reviews or whatever. How did they find you all?
And also when I say 6, sorry.
Because I want to get in. Do you watch other reality shows that compete with yours?
Yes. I love Atlanta more than our show. I mean, did anybody see last the charade fight? Who gonna check me, boo? I mean, that was crazy. I mean, I want to be in their show. But I also want to be listen, and they're like, you're a racist, because I'll be like, yeah, work in my weave, even though I don't have a weave, but I like saying it. I think it's funny. And like a white woman can't say work in my weave, but I do anyway. I want to be in Atlanta. I want to be like, I'm going to get Pookie and I'm come over and whoop your ass. I mean, that is not something a white woman says, and I want to be in that show. So yes, I watch them all, and I blog, and they're all scared of what I'm going to say because I rip them new ones, and I love it. I love to blog. They picked us also by saying 6 crazy women, and if I took any 6 of you and mixed you up, you guys would all kill each other, talk about each other, everything. It's just like that movie Liar, Liar with Jim Carrey? You just gotta say what you want, what you think. You know, I'd be like, Ramona, you are batshit crazy. I wouldn't say that if I were her normal friend in normal life and I was like in her wedding party. I'd be like, this is a beautiful dress. I love this bridesmaid dress. But on the show, you'd be like, that is disgusting. So you kind of say a little more. But they found everybody, mostly in the Hamptons. It's funny, most people I know have met their husbands in the Hamptons, and they found us in the Hamptons. And I was a complete happy accident to them. They wanted a wife, they wanted someone who had kids, and this is totally not kosher, where the producer would hang out with one of the castmates. So one of them, Jill, they had already found, and they were like, we are screwed. Because this was called Manhattan Moms. This show wasn't a success. It had no budget. They were going to get pulled, and Bravo wanted the 5th housewife. So the producer's like, we have to find a housewife. And Jill said, well, go to Palo. Let's go to Palo in the Hamptons. Let's find somebody there. And I was there, and I have a boyfriend. I have no kids. I'm the farthest thing from a housewife, which is what they wanted. And Jill saw me. And she's like, oh, my God, you skinny bitch. I'm doing the show, and you got to meet the producers. And I met the producers, and it was like they just asked me if they could tape me, which they did, and then I said no, and then 2 months later, they still hadn't found the person. So for me, I wasn't even supposed to be at Polo that day. It was completely, really meant to be for me. So they found everybody. Now they make it like a nationwide casting call, like when I was on The Apprentice. It's not like that. With us, it wasn't like that. With us, we were just lucky that they picked us, because they would have picked anybody off a tree at that point. So that was that. That was the whole question, right? Okay, cool. Anyone else?
Is your favorite restaurant in New York really Philippe Chow?
No, my favorite, I like Philippe. I like Philippe because they put the Skinny Girl margarita on the menu, and that was where it was born. People always ask me my favorite restaurant, and I never can really think. I like Kraft a lot because I like that it's a la carte. I like steakhouses. I like the Strip House because I think it's a sexy steakhouse. I like Angelo's on Mulberry. I'm not like a fancy food person. I like sort of down-home food. Am I going to be invited back to Google ever again? I'm just curious, because I mean, I didn't take my meds this morning, and I'm just saying. No, got it. Okay, yeah, and they do. They YouTube themselves. Yeah, so Google everybody. All right, so anyone want to hear about the book that I happen to have written?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about Ramona first before you?
Oh, Ramona, sure. What do you want to know?
Is she really as batshit crazy
Ramona has like that switch that just she'll be like, hey, oh my God, hi, it's nice to see you. And then you'll be like, why are we doing that? I don't understand why we're doing that. We didn't want to do that. I didn't sign up for that. Ramona, the switch just goes off, but I always say just add Ramona. She's like red pepper flakes. If you put it in a recipe, sometimes it just makes it just spicy enough, like in penne arrabbiata, but sometimes it's like, you know, Ramona's nuts. We're all sort of nuts, though. And Luann's not particularly crazy. I mean, she has like a low grade. What?
What about the Countess?
The Countess is very cool. I think the Countess got caught up a lot in her Countess-ness the first 2 seasons, and like was sitting behind that whole thing. But I've been out with the Countess, and she's pretty cool when it comes down to it. Darling, you better lean into a man and be a damsel in distress. Yeah, I mean the Countess she's caught up in the Countess-ness, but now she's still the Countess. She's Count-less, but she's the Countess. Yeah, the Countess with no count. So I like Luann. Luann and I get along really well. Had we both been single at the same time back in the day, it would have been ugly. Yeah. Alex is very nice. Alex is very, very, who just asked that? Oh, Alex is nice. She's harmless. She's very, you need Simon. It really needs to be Silex because he's, I'm sorry? It's funny that you asked that. They originally signed up for a parenting show. I'm not kidding. Like on getting your kids into school in Manhattan. All of us are sort of a happy accident in a way, except Jill was like right in the middle of it all. But they signed up for like getting your kids into school, a parenting show, and I think they're kind of like a team. I think that they had her and they need him. I mean, none of the other husbands or men are in the show. I really wouldn't want someone. I don't want Tori and Dean kind of situation coming up. It's just too weird. But you need both of them. You really, really do. And they have their own like cult following now, I think.
So there is last season an image of Kelly running down. It was like the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen.
Everything is unbelievable with her.
And just something like that. Does Kelly say, "Hey, like I'm hot, let's do a scene with me running in the traffic"?
Well, cartwheels are free. So running in front of the horse and carriages, yeah, that's like what happens with her. They're like, hey! Like so. The thing is, listen to how I'm speaking to you. Who would ever speak this way to anyone, much less everyone? I don't have. She has her own thing. Is just she's very. I don't know. I think she's a girl who's a wealthy girl who lives in a big house, and I think she really wants everyone to like think that she's really like boheme and in Birkenstocks with the whole pickup truck and like I'm just free and like I said, cartwheels are free. We are just so opposite. I can't even. It's like I can't even comment. I don't even know. We just do not gel. It's not for TV. We just don't. I'm just like I don't understand. I don't get it. I've never seen the likes of this before. I think she's coming back. I mean, to my knowledge, she'll be coming back. And then everyone's going to want the whole me and her. And I'll do it for pay-per-view. For pay-per-view, for like a good amount of money, which I actually think people would pay to see me like mud wrestle her for pay-per-view. And I seriously have thought about it. And I think like even the people, I've been to the Mall of Americas and they've heard me be somewhat inappropriate. I think people can handle me mud wrestling with Kelly. And I think I would win. Because I'm scrappy. So anyway, this is my own little personal fantasy. But back to reality at Google.
Of all the relationships on the show, it seems like yours and Jill's is like the most authentic friendship.
Yeah, that's the most truth. That's the most authentic friendship. It's true. It's true.
How did you guys meet each other?
We met. Jill makes it her business to meet everybody, and so we met at a movie premiere. Well, actually, we met a couple of times, and I didn't really know her that well until that day at Polo. Like until the show, we really get to know each other and get to know her family and things like that. And she was sort of my closest person on the show, which is a weird experience to go through. And so you need someone to kind of be going through it with. But since since I have a boyfriend, since I've been really caught up in the book, and I just wrote the second book, I've kind of been I haven't been really hanging out with anybody. I've just been working. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really fresh when we get back to shooting because I haven't even seen Jill that much this summer. She's traveling and I've been traveling, so it will be spicy. It'll be interesting. I don't think it could be as interesting as Atlanta or those shows. I just don't. I don't think any of us would go there, and it would be sort of fun if we did, like the unplugged version of the Real Housewives of New York. But it's just not the same.
Who do you think is crazier, Kelly or Danielle?
That's a great question. Who do I think is crazier, Kelly? Or is this funny that you guys do at work? Would your bosses just drop dead? Would they just be like, this is what you're talking about? They don't even know who Kelly and Danielle are. Or they might. What? They're probably here? Oh, they're here, you mean? Oh, or the bosses? Who are the big wigs here? Raise your hands. They wouldn't even admit it. I'll Google. I'll figure it out later. Kelly or Danielle? Danielle's like very calculated. Oh, that's a better match than me and Kelly. They're equally pathological, I think. I think they're equally. I think Danielle is the biggest. No, they're the same. They're the same person. Same bigger tits, faker lips, same person. Can't answer that. Best question of the day. Thank you. No, stumped me.
It seemed like the second season there was a lot more like charity work and involvement going on. Was that something that if you guys were put up to? Not necessarily you, but.
It's funny. It's a good question. And it's in all the Housewives things. I think everyone needs to make themselves feel really important or have to like explain to the world why they're doing a reality show, so they make it like we're all in Malawi on our knees, like, like hugging babies. And, I work with different charities, and I'm not saying that I'm on my knees in Malawi either. I work with the ASPCA or the Humane Society and donate my time and donate cooking and things. But everybody really feels the need in all the shows to be like, I do so much charity. I think kind of charity is the kind of thing, if you're doing it, you don't really need to be yelling it out on top of your lungs. The one big charity event, they kind of did want us to do something together. And so Jill's friend had been doing that charity, so we all got together on it. But that kind of, at the end, they gave us all these awards, which I was like, I don't need an award. It just felt a little inauthentic. Like now we're getting an award, a glass award made by Mario from True religion or true faith trophies. So, that felt everyone was like hawking their stuff, and myself included, but that was a little pushing it. So, that's that. All right, cool. Book. Okay. So now is when I become a human being for a minute. So Naturally Thin is my book, which I wrote not because I ever wanted to be an author. I've always had a knack for writing. I've always liked writing articles, love writing assignments, but I never wanted to be a writer or an author. I came from a very, very toxic household, very, very toxic family with alcoholism and just chain smoking and living in 13 different places, going to 13 different schools. And there was an obsession coming from my mother's father, just in my whole family background, obsession with food. And food, what I call in the book, food noise, and dieting, and you can't be fat, and you have to be thin. And basically, I spent my whole life, my whole entire life. Since I could probably read or know what I talk a lot about parents not saying diet in front of their kids or not making that obsession of their own, passing it on, and that's a lot of what the book is about. But basically, I spent most of my life completely obsessed with dieting and being thin and ripping out every single diet in every single magazine and reading all the charts. And it could be anything from Better Homes and Gardens to 17 and always being on a diet. The Scarsdale diet, the Atkins diet, the South Beach diet, the Weight Watchers, the points, the this, the that, the nonsense. And probably for most of my, from college, high school to college, adult life, to early 30s, I was always 20 to 25 pounds heavier than I am now. And I would have been 90 pounds heavier had I not been completely obsessed, spinning and stepping and exercising every day, and always I was good because I ate this, I was bad because I ate that. And I never was bulimic, I never was anorexic, but it definitely was a disorder because it was a complete obsession. And I know so many people go through this. But it was my own sort of secret thing. Some of my girlfriends would be like, I was so bad today, I can't believe what I ate, and I'm going to be good tomorrow. And the Monday was always the big day of the diet, or the day after the big binge, then you'd diet. And it just was completely shackling. It was like being in prison. And as an evolution, it just became more and more tiring. And you get better at the dieting because you know more. So being a natural food chef, you know more about whether it's tofu or vegetarian or steamed and fasts and all these excuses, like the Gwyneth Paltrow thing. There's this whole thing about Gwyneth Paltrow. She over detoxing or over, because a lot of people do the whole bullshit of pretending it's all in the guise of being healthy, but it's still really obsessive. So there was that whole phase of it, being a natural food chef. And about probably it was in my early 30s, I was going on a trip to Italy where I'd been several times before, and Mario Batali had given a friend of mine a bunch of different restaurants that I had to go visit in Venice. And I was going with a boyfriend, and I was like, I'm done. I've had so many trips where I've gone to Italy, and it's been torture the server if they can't find skim milk somewhere in Italy. Go beat up some Italian at some Italian market and find me some friggin' skim milk or Equal or whatever, which is so psycho because a teaspoon of sugar is, whatever, so few calories. No one ever got fat on a bit of cream or a small cappuccino, but it's just this whole food noise obsession. And I was like, this is a trip where I'm not going to just only eat the vegetable antipasto the whole time because that's what I'm allowed to eat. And this is a trip where I'm going to just come back. My jeans are going to be the same. And all the rules in this book, which I call a toolbox, because you could use the hammer and you could use a screwdriver. You don't need to, there's no plan. You don't need to know everything. It's the kind of book that you just read and it just becomes part of you. But all of the rules were born in Italy. And one of the rules, the big overriding rules, your diet is a bank account. And so basically just like the economy, just like shopping, just like buying an impractical sequin dress or something. After you do that, you should buy nothing or buy a cashmere sweater. When you have your money, finances, some of us are in debt, some of us aren't. I've been there, I've bounced more checks than I even care to explain. You don't carry your checkbook around during the day. You know when you've gone out and you've shopped and you've bought something, you have a little bit of remorse about it that you know went over, and then you know that if you're not going to buy something next. That's the whole thing about your diet's a bank account. And the problem with most diets is that they're cookie cutter, and people's lives are not cookie cutter. People are business travelers, people are at mini marts, people have no money, they have to go to McDonald's. The book is about whatever your own life is and being able to be Latin and keep rice and beans in your life, or just be Italian and you want to eat pasta, because we've gone through the days where pasta was the devil and avocado in sushi used to be the devil to me, and all these things that we've been forbidden. And in the book doesn't tell you there is no no. There's only yes. It's just how. And so your diet as a bank account will be the overriding rule. And then there are other little rules like the hammer and the screwdriver and the ruler or whatever. And those are like taste everything, eat nothing. So that's the kind of rule that you'd bring out if you're at a buffet or at a Super Bowl party or at someone's wedding. That's when you're like, you know what, those cube neon cheeses I've seen a million times, I don't need to eat that, but you know what, they have caviar here, they have coconut shrimp. So I'm gonna have a little bit of it all. Same kind of thing if you're on a date and you're in a fattening restaurant. You don't want to be that person that's just like, oh, I can't have this or I can't have that. All the noise. The book makes it into a voice and gives you a good relationship with food. And people often ask me, what's the most important rule? And they're all important and they're all made to be broken, except for the check yourself before you wreck yourself rule. And that is, I used to be the girl that would go out to Marquee. I'd be single. I'd get drunk. I'd come home at 4 in the morning. I'd go to that deli that fortunately is now, they're closed, the bodega. I swear to God, the chef for my bodega was from Le Cirque. He was so amazing. They just closed. They couldn't pay the rent. We're all in mourning on this side of the room, but it's okay. So anyway, I used to go in there and get coffee cake and get ice cream and get chips and because you're ruining yourself. You're like, it's over. It's going to be good tomorrow, and I'm going to ruin myself, and that's a binge. That's the only thing that you cannot break that rule because that's emotional. It has nothing to do with actual hunger. You would never be hungry enough to eat what I used to eat. And you wake up swollen with a food hangover, and you hate yourself, and it wreaks havoc on your body. And that is the one only rule that you can't break. And it doesn't mean you can't have fried chicken, doesn't mean you can't have potato chips, just mean you can't go off the rail. Like Ramona at a dinner party, you can't go off the rails. You can't lose your mind and do something so crazy that people will still be talking about it at Google 2 years later. And so there are other things in the book, like the point of diminishing return, where you have a plate of fried calamari and you have a bite and it's amazing, and you have another bite and it's amazing, and then it starts to not get amazing. It starts to get where you have such anxiety about the fact that you're eating fried calamari or a cheeseburger that now it goes in the other direction and you're kind of like a little self-loathing. That's when you stop because it's never going to get any better. And there will be another fried calamari. There will be another French fries. And there are all these little things in the book like that, like the differential. For me, turkey chili is just as good as regular chili. Like it's not worth the extra fat. For somebody else, it might be something else. But for me, I don't want a piece of grilled chicken or broiled steamed piece of chicken. I want a fatty New York steak. So that's where I decide to invest. And the book talks about good investments and bad investments. But it's individual for every single one of you. So the book is just something you read. You don't flip to some chart and rip it out. You just read it. It becomes part of you. You absorb it. You trust it. Hundreds and thousands of people have lost 50, 60, 70 pounds now I don't know, it's been out since March 10th. And this has been the baby of my life. I'm excited about the SkinnyGirl margarita. That's going to put my kids through college. It's all good. But the book, it is. We're ripping off Puffy's sign on the back of his yacht, and we're going to have margaritas flowing out of the faucets and all kinds of plans for that because that's going to be major. But this book is the one great thing that I've done in life because it's changing people's lives. Like people with eating disorders are sending me letters. Their husbands are saying that their wives will finally eat foods that their kids could eat, that their wife will get pregnant again because she was afraid of getting fat. I mean, people have fucked up noise about food. So they really do, because you have to live with it. It's not like drugs. You can't get rid of it, or alcohol, you can't get rid of it. Not that you would ever want to. But food, you have to keep in your life. And the book is, it's pretty good. So that's the book.
Microphone.
Oh, we're doing microphone? Am I on the microphone? Do I need to be on a microphone? Oh, no, I am on a microphone.
You are. But nobody can hear the questions, and they won't be on YouTube if they're not using the microphone.
It's true.
Okay, who's the techie that's going to take up the...
Oh, so one thing that I think people struggle with is feeling full, and a lot of people don't know what that means anymore. So, you say satiated or whatever, but a lot of people, I think, struggle with understanding their body and their body's reaction to food, and when are they full, when are they stuffed, when are they still hungry, things like that. So that's my first question, just how you've dealt with that over time. And then my second question is your decision to call sort of your empire SkinnyGirl, because that is...
The word skinny.
The word skinny is somewhat controversial in our society, and I'm just wondering sort of how that came about for you.
The first question, did everyone hear her question? Okay. The first question is about being full, and it's a great question because for so long, part of this whole food noise, you have such anxiety but while you're eating that we just know to finish our whole plate, and there's a rule, cancel your membership to the Clean Plate Club, which involves broccoli or even chicken broth. Like, it's not that you should only leave food on your plate if it's something really fattening. It's about just starting to understand what it means to leave it, and it's okay. And you probably know if you've ever been really busy and you have a whole sandwich and you only eat half and you run off. You're never missing that other half. You're not starving. It's just that it was in front of you, and that's where the anxiety comes from, what's in front of you and not understanding how to deal with that. And part of it is it's not going to happen in the first day because it's mostly anxiety-based. Once you start to get to know yourself, there are little side rules, like chew your food slowly, not obsessively counting bites or any of that BS. Chew your food slowly, also paying attention when you're driving or you're walking or something and you're eating. You don't even know what you're doing, and then you finish, and then you're full. Or sometimes, if you're not eating slowly enough or actually involved in a conversation at dinner or making it a special moment, you get really full before you even know, and afterwards you feel like you're full. But just to know when you're comfortable, that does take a little bit of practice. It does take not having anxiety about what you're eating, just being like, okay, I did it. And there is that moment sometimes you're like, but I could do a little more, and I could do a little more. But you kind of have to have not noise about it, but that food voice about it, and it's an internal conversation about it, which will involve several of the rules. Is it worth it? Is it a good investment? Is it the point of diminishing return? And not for any of this to be obsessive. I'm saying it all at once. It becomes something you just understand. When you read the book, you won't even ask because you'll just understand because there's so many different situations. I explain how I feel about when I'm eating something, how I feel, why I ate something, why I was hungover and ate just watermelon and hot chocolate for breakfast, which no book would ever say to do. Just the more that you allow yourself to have the things that you really want, the more that you won't have anxiety about it. So what happens is you eat a piece of chocolate cake. It's Paris Hilton. It's a perfect example of a person. She doesn't give a crap. She eats half a cheeseburger and french toast and she walks away because it's not that important. She could eat another cheeseburger if she wanted to, but she doesn't want to. Like someone called me up the other day and said, when I'm 65, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to eat whole trays of lasagna, and I'm just going to throw caution to the wind. And I was like, but if you say that you're allowed to, you're never going to want to eat a whole tray of lasagna. So it's just something that sort of becomes part of you. Just something instinctive. That is what the food voice is. And as far as the word skinny girl, it's very specific that it's one word, skinny girl, as opposed to, I always mention Banana Republic, because years ago, or even company Apple, you don't think of an actual apple. It's just its own word now. So skinny girl, but it's not skinny bitch, and I'm not saying anything about that book. I'm just saying it's not skinny bitch. It's that it's a girl. It's a skinny girl. A girl usually means somebody a little bit youthful, a little bit nice, and the word skinny girl means the girl that you want to be, that you're comfortable being. And that could be, Rihanna or Kim Kardashian or a role model who has who's not some skinny bone. I'm trying to make skinny girl, and I'm succeeding in making skinny girl the girl that can live and be flirty and in the kitchen and not stressed out about it and have a cheeseburger and have some of a French fry and have a skinny girl margarita and not have noise about it. It's not about some bone, rail bone or bone rail, whatever, bone rail thin person. It's about the girl that you feel comfortable being. And I do think that a lot of these, J-Lo and Beyonce role models are good because they're hot and they're a little bigger and they're healthy and they just own it and they wear what they want and it's fitted and they're kind of just like, those are girls to me. So that's what a skinny girl is.
Hi. Just before I ask my question, I wanted to say I bought your book actually a week ago. It's ironic because now we're getting it for free. But I made your banana oatmeal cookies and the vegan chili, which were awesome, by the way. You guys should try them. I gave them to my family, and we're vegetarian, so it was great. You mentioned in your book that you went to an obesity camp or an obesity or doctor
an obesity clinic when I was 8, right?
Because your mom was freaking out. And so I wanted to know how that affected you, because I think there wasn't much mentioned about it, but it was kind of an important, you could notice in the book that it's an important time in your life. And what exactly they said, how that changed you. I mean, did you, stop having whole milk or something after that? What exactly happened?
It's funny. Yeah, that was the first. I mean, I think I was 8 years old, and I just don't think an 8-year-old should know about calories. And I think it's interesting because this book, even I was shooting something with Isaac Mizrahi the other day, and he was like, well, this jelly bean has 1 point, and how many points does that chip have? And they have this whole point system. You can't even be enjoying what you're doing. And I just think that for a kid at 8 years old to already know what a calorie is and to already be knowing what those diet pages are, to be ripping them out, is just completely obsessive, and it just starts off for and so many people do it, so many people know it. I started earlier, but I was in nightclubs at 14, so I started everything earlier. But to be knowing about things like that at that age is just it's just a lot of food noise. Even if I have friends who have heavy kids, and I hear it all the time, like mothers, well, if you didn't eat that, you would fit into this, and it's like really, it's like not the kind of, that's not good, tough love. That food is like such a sensitive thing, and you have to like ease into it. And sometimes you have to. I've even had girlfriends that like just allow yourself to eat and have a better relationship with food, and then the weight will eventually come off. It doesn't have to be something it took your whole life to gain it. It's going to take a little bit to get it off. It's the kind of thing that you just want to get the sort of mental problem or mental noise gone before you start worrying about it, because the obsession will just constantly go up, go down. That's why people lose weight on diets, blame the diet when it comes back, and then they go on another diet, and you just can't be like a counter. And so it definitely was way too early for a person to even know about calories. I don't believe in calories. I don't believe in weighing yourself, which all that is about, because then, you drink a glass of water or you eat like, a soybean and you're swollen. I mean, I never weigh myself. If I'm in some spa away, 1 out of 6 months, I'll weigh myself. But I just think it's a bad way to go. And I hate when kids say that they're going to fat camp. My friend just said she wants to send her kid a SkinnyGirl t-shirt because she sent her to fat camp. And I'm like, that sounds great. Just send a SkinnyGirl t-shirt to a fat camp. So, it's just a lot of it. And if I get into speaking about charities, the kind of charity that I want to work in is developing a healthy relationship with food for younger girls, for teens. I think that's a huge, huge area, a sensitive area. So I was even earlier than a teen. So you're right. It's something I remember. Shouldn't have been there. Anyone else?
My question is more about being vegan or vegetarian, because a lot of diets, and I guess not even diets, but just eating in general is so much focused around meat or high protein or any of those things. But being vegetarian and trying to be vegan, it's just really
I think that the way that a lot of people find out if they're allergic to things is through like the food elimination diet, sort of, which means either where you start on a fast or you start just eating sort of healthy for a week or so and then adding things back in. I'm getting somewhere. I know you asked a sort of different question, but there's a reason I'm saying this. And you kind of realize that you have a reaction to things. Ironically, I've done raw, I've done vegan, I've done everything. And I really don't have any food allergies. But as of late, I realized that when I have this soy milk in my Starbucks coffee, that I just start to feel like kind of congested and like, for lack of a more glamorous word, phlegmy. And so I realized when I cut that out that I'm allergic to that. I think that if people have food intolerances, like wheat can make you more bloating, you should start paying attention to how you feel, and then that's how you should eliminate and decide whether you're going to be vegan or raw or vegetarian. But I don't believe in the books that tell you what you should be, that you're supposed to do this, and unless it's an ethical issue, and I completely understand the ethical issue. I really do. If you see this movie Food Inc., which is coming out, you'll never want to eat again. And also, I love animals, so I am conflicted about the fact that I do like to eat steak, and then where do you draw the line if I will wear a leather purse but I won't wear fur? And I am definitely, you can't do everything. I'm conflicted about organic and trying to teach people what things to eat that are organic, because not everyone can afford it. I mean, there's a lot of information, but I think that everyone's body is different. And I mean, my boyfriend always says, how come whenever you go in a health food store, everybody who works there is green? Because all the people are always green. Everyone just looks, I don't mean like green, yay, we're being environmental. I mean, they look green. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because they're not eating any meat. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I think that when you kind of have that, like those black circles and when you're missing something. And girls know when you're getting a period, if you want some red meat, that there's like a reason you're craving something. I think you have to kind of get in touch with your body and know what it needs and know what it doesn't need and work it out for yourself. And some people, for digestion reasons, do better with vegetarian. I'm one of those people. Some people, some men, if they're working out, they feel like they really need to protein up and all that stuff. But I definitely don't believe in that low carb stuff. That's like psychotic. I really don't. I hate that kind of like obsessive. I love when I go on a date with a guy who's like, I don't eat carbs. I'm like, great. That whole like muscle head, the muscle milk thing, whatever. Anyway, so that's the no carbs. That was my ex-fiance from Chicago. Just my own personal moment we're having here. No carbs, I don't eat carbs at all. No carbs. So.
Can you just talk a little bit about Bethenny Bakes?
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're talking products now. Okay, so I have a line of, because you're going to get some today, or the cookies are going to be out. So I have a line of baked goods called Bethenny Bakes. They're wheat, egg, and dairy-free and low-fat baked goods, which is sort of ironic because they came a long time ago. And my book talks about this book, but especially the SkinnyGirl dish, which is coming out in January. I renovate recipes, just like I am a fixologist for cocktails. I take fattening recipes like macaroni and cheese or chicken pot pie or things that you would normally feel a little bit guilt eating and make them more healthy. And it's not that you can't eat regular fattening macaroni and cheese. It's just that with these healthy recipes, you can have a little bit more of it. It becomes a better investment. So that's what Bethenny Bakes is. There's nothing wrong with eating a regular chocolate chip cookie from Mrs. Fields or whoever, but the cookies happen to be healthy. They have oat flour, they have applesauce and bananas, and everything's like all natural. And so it's actually a good investment, better than having one of those bars or something like that. And that's all available on my website. And the Skinny Girl Margarita, which is coming out as we speak. This week we're launching it, and it'll be in stores in a couple of weeks. It's kind of the same thing. The book talks about, I don't want to say no. Every diet I ever went on in my life was like no drinking, and then that would last like 3 days. And I always wanted to have a drink that I actually liked. But because I was always obsessed with being on a diet, I would drink clear vodka, like the flavored raspberry vodka that has no sugar in it, and then put a lime in it and pretend it tasted like raspberries when it really tasted like vodka. And then I would get buzzed, and I would end up drinking what I wanted, which was a 700-calorie margarita. So I needed to create a margarita that you could trust. So the margarita has 100 calories. It's in the bottle. The tequila is in the bottle. It's $12.99 a bottle. It's fantastic. It tastes like you're drinking a margarita from Mexico. So that's a good thing. And that's kind of the whole thing. I just want to make people able to indulge and enjoy, but have a little bit less guilt about it, a little bit less noise. And hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for being at Google. It's awesome to have you.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I was just thinking, since you're here, I know a lot of people go online to look at recipes and things like that, and I know I do it from time to time, like healthy chicken recipe or whatever I'm searching for. And I was just wondering what role you were thinking about taking there online.
As far as what? As far
like
as
having a site where people can get your recipes, or maybe
I'm working right now on really making my site way more informational. I mean, I have a lot of my recipes, but I want them to be updated on a day-to-day basis. I want to keep adding things. I mean, I don't want to put the things necessarily that are in my book. I want to put some of the things in my book, but I want to make it much more. I mean, truthfully, all over the internet, if you Google, all my recipes end up all over the internet. And I use Google for every recipe that I've created. I'll say to the girls, like, Google me, a regular fattening, like red velvet cake. And it's all an equation. And not to talk about the second book, but the second book, Skinny Girl Dish, teaches people to think about their refrigerator or kitchen like a closet, where you have like a black dress and you have to accessorize it, rather than have to go out and buy a whole brand new outfit or go buy a whole shopping list for a recipe. So I'll go on Google and I'll be like, all right, I'll look in my kitchen. I'll be like, we have 3 brown bananas. What am I going to make? And I'll look on Google and I'll be like, banana bread. And then I'll start substituting things out and make low-fat, healthy versions of it. And everything's been like a total chemistry equation. And pretty much like 70% of them end up working, 30% flop. And the whole second book is about teaching people how to think for themselves in the kitchen and not have to be slaves to a recipe. So I do want to have my website be more informational. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, we do contests every week. If whoever comes up with the best recipe to go with the Skinny Girl Margarita, or I ask a lot of different questions because I want to know what people want in the books. We give out a free case of margaritas or a Skinny Girl basket or things. So yeah, I do want to have it be more of an informational website with recipes and things like that. Oh, the website's Bethenny.com, BETHENNY.com, or for the cocktails, it's SkinnyGirlCocktails.com. But truthfully, thank you guys, Google, because every single time I go to look up a fattening recipe that I want to renovate or a cocktail, like I was doing Triple Crown cocktails, so I had to do the Black-Eyed Susan and the Mint Julep and renovate them. I went to Google for every single. We live on Google. Who doesn't though? I mean, it's not like I'm a special. I live on Google. I'm not totally.
Hi, Bethenny. Thank you so much for coming. We knew we'd have to come late, so I bought 4 copies of your book yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
I have 2 questions. One is less serious. Do you go on YouTube? And if so, what are your favorite YouTube videos?
I don't go on YouTube. I don't go unless someone sends something to me. I love that one about them. I love that new one with them dancing in the wedding. I love the one. What's the one in the wilderness with the animals
Christian
fighting?
What's
the
that? Battle at Kruger Park.
What is that?
The Battle at Kruger Park.
I love that. I love that baby. I could listen to that baby laughing.
Oh yeah,
the baby laughing forever. But I don't go that. I'm not that. I really do go to Google every minute of the day just because I need information. I mean, but I don't really. I don't scour the internet. I mean, I have Google alerts to myself, and I barely even look at them. They look at them, but I'm not that much of the internet person. I don't use my computer that much. I'm more of the BlackBerry person. So.
And then a serious question. We've talked a lot about eating. I remember you guys did yoga in one of the shows. What do you do for exercise, and how has that changed over time?
It's funny. That's a big thing too, and I don't know. I just finished the second book, and it's not been completely edited, so I don't know if it's going to make it in. I talk about exercise noise too. How I used to be obsessed at most times. Like I would be in a spinning phase where I'd be spinning 5 days a week, and you end up seeing everybody in the spinning classes, and they all end up looking the same. Nobody ever ends up getting in better shape. Everyone just looks the same. And I would leave them and eat like a wild wolverine because you're starving. And then you feel guilty because you ate so much that you have to go back and spin the next day. And it becomes like literally you're spinning. And I'm now much thinner than I've ever been. And I probably work out on the average 2 to 3 if I'm like on a weekend vacation times a week. But I don't have noise about it. And it's always part of my life. It's like a friend that you always know you're going to go back and see. Instead of it being like having an argument with exercise, which I used to, where you'd go 5 days in a week, be obsessed, and then you would completely stop. Or you'd stop 1 or 2 days. You'd have such guilt about stopping that then you'd be like, I screwed it up, I'm done, it doesn't matter anyway, and then you don't go for 3 weeks. Now what happens is I go on a book tour, and I'm not thrilled about the fact that I'm not exercising, but the first day I get back, if I'm not completely exhausted, I'll go to yoga with no noise about it. So it's a long answer, but it's an important thing for people to get into their head too, that your body remembers, and if you just have it in your life on some level where when I go away for the weekends with my boyfriend, we have a thing. In the morning, we go take a beach walk. Or last week, we just were near this basketball court, and he plays basketball. I'm like, so show me, well, let's play basketball. Like, just to do things that you like whenever you can and just have a good relationship with it, that's what I have now. But because I used to have it's like an ex-boyfriend. I had a psychotic relationship with it before, and now we can see each other once in a while, and we get along great. And I look just as good as I did then. So that's what that is.
So I have a question concerning the work you do cooking for celebrities. 2 parts. First, for the celebrities that are in really good shape and that are on camera, are they generally kind of calorie obsessed, and is that a huge concern, or do you cook more lavishly for them? I just kind of wonder how that works.
It's funny. I don't really cook that much for celebrities anymore because, I do for specific events, but not regularly because I don't really have the time that much. It depends. I can't really work because of my own issues with it. Like when I feel someone who has like a lot of noise about it is an obsessive, and there are a lot of people like that. But although I haven't had that many people like that request me to cook for them. But the celebrities that I've cooked for, they're more extreme. Like I pigged out all summer, and now I need to get it back for this. And Denis Leary was the opposite. He just was in great shape. He was playing hockey like 3 hours a day, and he ate like crap, and he felt like crap. So I would just make him meals that he loved because they were healthy, and now he had more energy and he looked better. But for the most part, I find it to be 50-50, 50%, but they're very extreme. I call them the insustainables. Look at like a Jessica Simpson. Now she's on the whole big diet, or a Britney. Like even Oprah, like they need my book. They really do. They need to. No, they do because they have even Oprah, she has plans to not be on plans. Like the new thing this year was I have had too many plans. I've been in too many diets, and now I'm planning to not plan. So I'm going to plan to have more time to not plan to plan to. Like you just need to just like let it be. And I feel like celebrities have so much pressure, and they feel like the spotlight is on them, and they're just up and down. So I've had some obsessive celebrities, and I've had some that just like to generally eat healthy. It's a good question because for the most part there's something about it where it's very up and down and very extreme, and I get it because that used to be me, and my weight hasn't fluctuated in like probably 5 years, and it used to fluctuate every 5 days. So I think it's part of being under the spotlight and having so many fads, and people throw things at you, and just like plastic surgery, this one's doing this, that one's doing that. So yeah, I think that's a huge noisy population of people as celebrities.
Cool, thanks. Who was the coolest celebrity that you probably
Denis Leary's the coolest celebrity.
Yeah?
He's the coolest. Thanks. He was fun. Because he's inappropriate, and so am I, so anything flew in that trailer. Cool?
Hi. So I wanted to ask you, a lot of us in the room here are in sales. So that means that we spend a lot of time in restaurants. I don't know if you noticed, but we're surrounded by food
Yes.
in this environment.
I know. I just had some of that strawberry Special K. It was good. I never had that before.
Right? And was that planned?
What?
I mean, who knew that was going to be there, right? It just
Right,
shows
but I have
up.
I had a bowl of it with granola. I would have shot myself years ago if I ate a whole bowl of granola. I would have been in therapy.
Wow.
I wouldn't even be able to speak now. I'd be in the corner. I'd be flipping
be
out.
dead
You
like
guys would
40
be
times
talking, and
over.
I'd be listening to your speech.
I just wanted to know if you had any advice for those of us who seem to find ourselves just surrounded by food, like every second.
I'm surrounded by food all the time. I'm in a restaurant every night. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by food. It doesn't matter if you're on a cruise ship. It doesn't matter if you go on vacation. It doesn't matter if you go out to the most fattening restaurant, Chinese restaurant, to eat fried chicken, or southern restaurant. When I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I want to go to the barbecue place, you just can't. If we will read the book, and this will all make sense to you. So what? You're around food. What? I mean, no offense to the group. Like, there was cereal. Like, I haven't seen cereal somewhere else. You can get cereal anytime. Like, I need to eat those cereal. I mean, it was good. It was fine. Tomorrow I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to eat those strawberry Special K. I mean, it wasn't like, there was a carving station and like Zeppelas in a cotton candy machine. It wasn't like crazy. It was food. But, you're an adult. It's your choice. You decide. If you want to eat 5 bowls of cereal, then decide what you're not going to have tonight when you go out to a great restaurant that has steak. Like, you're a grown woman, and you can be surrounded by food. And no, I'm just saying, like, I didn't mean to beat you up. I'm just saying, like, it's food. Walk away. Be like, I had a bowl of cereal. It was fine. It was good. And I'm done. It just has to be, what? Well, that's here. She's talking about here surrounded by food. Right, now I'm going to talk about, thank you, Lori. So that's being in a place like here, where it's just always around. But also you kind of get sick of it. And boredom, too. Do something else. But I don't want to say to have any rules or anything, but portions are good. In my own house, I have little ramekins. I saw that cereal bowl was a big cereal bowl. Have your cereal in a cup, like, and don't have it be some big group thing where you're grabbing, because that's just grounds for not knowing what you're doing. You want to kind of be conscious of what you're doing. So I'd say using that little like espresso cup you had for things, just to portion out so you kind of have an idea without obsessing about it. But because you're in sales and you're probably taking people out, I would assume. Restaurants I find are easier than home because you have portions there and there's some sort of control. So I'm a person, if I go to a restaurant, I don't look at the main course area. I find it's going to be a big giant commitment to this big thing and this thing. I like the appetizers. So I'll pick like a salad or a healthy appetizer and then a fattening appetizer, something I would never have allowed myself to eat before, like a fried calamari or like a crab cakes or something, and have 2 appetizers and go to the side section. So it's always like the appetizers and the sides, and pick the greens. You're not going to get cream spinach. I mean, not that you can't have a bite of it if someone else gets it, but get the sauteed spinach, get some mushrooms, and fill yourself up on the higher volume foods, and make rules for yourself. Just loose rules, like the two drink maximum that's clear liquor. But if you decide you want dessert, it's a bank account. Have 1 drink and then have a couple of bites of the dessert. You just have a constant conversation about what's going on that's not noisy and it's not tallying. It's just knowing, you know what, I want that bread. So I'm going to have a half a piece of the bread, dip it in oil, so you feel like one of those bread-eating people now. You're not one of those people that's afraid of bread, so you have a little bit of the bread, and then maybe a couple of bites of the dessert. This could be a taste everything, eat nothing moment, but it could be a good investment thing where you're starving. So here's where you're having sautéed fish and brown rice and investing well and not having all that other stuff. Each moment is its own moment. It could be me being on a plane and being like, I'm dying for chocolate, so I'm going to have half of 3 Musketeers and a handful of nuts to balance it out, and it's all in the book. And that's what's happening here. But it shouldn't be something that's general. Every single minute, every day. One day you might eat terribly and just be like, by 4 o'clock you've eaten more food than you've eaten in 4 days. And it happened. But don't have noise about it. Just, it is what it is. Thanks. I feel like I abused her. That was abuse. I abused her. I'm sorry. You didn't come here to get beaten up. Everybody loves you. Jesus loves you. She's like, I don't want to come back to the Google meetings. They were mean to me there. Oh, to go sign downstairs? Oh, okay, so we're going to sign books downstairs, upstairs. Thank you guys so much for having me and taking time out of your day. This was so great, and I'm so happy to be here.